Was that immediately?
Recording, darling. It's funny because we just started and I heard you go, "Oh, Dad, what do you want? Quickly tell me now because we can start again." Ice cream.
The ice cream
1,
podcast.
2 scoops. It. And don't come back unless the house is on fire. Yeah.
Amazing timing.
Did you hear her scream as soon as you started?
Yeah.
I'm running out of the house. Ice cream.
From Press Red, welcome to Functions. This is episode number 14. My name is Matt Blackman, and as always, I am joined by Eli Turay. Recently, me and you met up at a rather unusual occasion. We met up at a festival, Wildfield.
Yeah. What the odds? Great festival as well.
Oh, great festival. I loved every second of it. A very hot day, but very much enjoyed all of the music.
It's quite funny to get a text saying, "I think I can see you."
Yeah, what I could see was just this fence with like the black fabric in front of it. And I saw a van with a satellite on it and a person hanging out of it. And I went, that could be Eli.
Was that person scratching his head?
Yes.
Kind of looking up a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I just kept thinking that might be Eli. I'll send him a message to make sure it's Eli, so I'm not just shouting, "Hey, Eli!" But yeah, it was very weird to see you there because I remember discussing that before you joined the BBC, or at least before I knew you joined the BBC properly.
Yeah, it's good. It was my first time out there doing the satellite van, which is quite cool. So working out which way to point the van and how many degrees tilt we have to have it on. And yeah, it was fun. And nothing blew up and we managed to broadcast for 3 straight hours. So yeah, success.
What were you broadcasting? I couldn't figure out for the life of me what you were actually doing.
So we were doing a live show for 3 hours, which had interviews, music from the people that were there, some pre-recorded stuff that we'd done earlier in the day around the field. And we were sending that signal back to BBC Norwich, who were then driving it through the desk and broadcasting it out to the 8 counties. All super complicated, but really simple stuff.
That means people were just listening to it on the radio then?
Yeah.
Because I really was trying to figure out what you were doing. When you started running around with a microphone and running back in and out of this fence, I was like, it's not Vox Pops. What on earth is he doing? Is he chatting to someone?
So at that time, we were live. So I'm meant to be manning the van, making sure the satellite's got good signal, all that stuff, making sure the mic's levels are good. But the presenter managed to get an interview with Ezra Collective. The interview was meant to go on later, but they said, look, we can do it now. They went out into the crowd. So the presenter went out to interview them there. It's meant to be a 2-minute interview. So we're playing a song. We've got 3 minutes of this song. But they want to continue talking to her beyond the 2 minutes. So she looked at me and just said, "I'm not stopping." Like she mouthed, "I'm not stopping." But we're live on air. Someone has to do something in those gaps. You can't just run into the next piece. So I had to run back to the van, get the script, because I didn't know what was next, then do the link myself. So I had to come on air. If you go on BBC Sounds, you'll hear it. It's quite funny. Wow. Hello, everyone. It's Eli here live at Wildfields. Angel is here. Don't worry. She's having a chat with someone very special that you'll hear about a little bit later on. But earlier on, she caught up with Ben Street, the event organizer, to talk about the day. Now to say, this is Eli. It's not Angel. Angel's doing a really important interview that you'll hear later. And you just heard this. And up next, we've got a piece where we interviewed it. And so that's kind of why I was running back and forth to find a quiet space, but also to be able to communicate with the producer who's driving the desk and get script. So, yeah.
Oh, you got to send me that live show. I would love to listen to that because it was absolutely
I haven't heard
mad
it back.
watching.
It's on BBC Sounds.
Yeah. It was absolutely mad to watch you just running around. Very entertaining, I have to admit, because my parents and my brother had all gone back to the van and I was just like, I've got nothing to do. I look over and I just see you running around. It's just a whale of a time.
Well, as you know, because you've done live broadcasting, in those moments, you don't see anything around you because you're focusing on the output.
Yeah.
No one, especially in my situation, no one even knew what was happening. So they couldn't know. So you just kind of get tunnel vision and just do the job at hand. You might look like a Wally doing it, but hey.
Well, you do what you can in industry business, the media industry. If you look silly, well, you've still achieved to manage to make production.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a slightly more nerdy note on that, I got to meet someone who I've wanted to meet for a while at that event, which I was very happy about. In many of these episodes of the podcast, when we do that suggestion area, I've suggested Yasmin Lacey, and they're an artist where I've got a lot of their vinyls. I really like their music, and I got the chance to meet them, and they were the loveliest person I met. I was kind of worried.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, I was very happy about speaking to her. I managed to speak to her because her manager was telling the people at the merch store to pack up, and I saw her, and I went to my mum and went, yeah, I'm not going to get the opportunity to get this book signed. I'm afraid that she's going to go off. But then my mum, my brother, and I went, well, we're going to have some dinner, then we'll grab some pizza. And she was just standing there, the manager lady, and we ended up chatting to her the entire time. Found out that Yasmin Lacey also DJs, so that was interesting to find out.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And then my mum just kind of slipped in there and said, would she mind signing a book for him? And she said, yeah. We went back with her, and I got to speak to her. Very awkward.
You got to meet her as well?
Yeah, I got to meet her. It was great.
Oh, wow.
I'm this super awkward person, though, because she came to hug me, and I didn't expect a hug, and I just stood still, and she hugged me, and I just said, I'm so sorry, I'm a very awkward person.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
But yeah, I got
I got to meet Yasmin Lacey earlier. In fact, I met her earlier on in the day and just said hello, and I knew she was someone, but I didn't know who she was. And then we got an interview with her later on, and our apprentice is a big fan and wanted to do the interview, and it was the most awkward interview. We didn't air it. It was that awkward.
You sent it to me, though, didn't you?
Did I send it to you?
I think you sent it to me.
Did you get a whole video?
It was in a blurry... Funny enough, the day that we had that was also there. I ran out of data, so it was fun sending messages. Yeah,
so she didn't, as you could tell, it kind of came across that Yasmin was a bit annoyed or a bit moody, but it was because the interview wasn't very good. And so, we didn't use the audio from it at all. But I met everybody else, and everyone was really cool.
That did worry me, because I got to see that interview a couple minutes before, and I went, I don't want to interrupt Yasmin Lacey at all now. She seems like she's either really tired or doesn't want to deal with any people who like her music at that moment. But she was a really nice person.
I'm glad that happened that way.
And I got a book signed. I was going to bring the vinyl down, but I thought it might get a bit hot that day.
Warped.
Yeah. On an entirely different note now, because this is a tech podcast, not a nerd out about music podcast. I'm working on one now. Meta has pulled back their idea of making a Vision Pro competitor. Saying it was too pricey to sell well. This is very interesting because they were kind of criticizing Vision Pro a lot when it first came out. But it just doesn't seem like they see it's worth the money anymore. They don't want to invest in it.
They might be onto something there.
Yeah.
I think Vision Pro, as it is a great toy that most people seem to have put down after having it a little while from the tech reviews that I see.
Yeah, I haven't heard them talk about it in a while, but that's just because it hasn't got enough to do on it at the moment. I think it's still got that power, the capability to do all of this. It just needs something else to do on it.
Yeah, I think that sweet spot is £500, and I know it's really unrealistic. My son just got a Meta Quest 2 recently, and it's great. For the price he paid for it, I think that's realistic for people to pick up. He paid 100 and something quid for it. And it's got pass-through, albeit black and white, hand tracking, games, YouTube. I think there's a market there for it, and they're right not to go for the Apple market. I don't think it's sustainable.
I don't think Meta needs to go for it for a while. I feel like they were doing it initially for the fact they're scared of the Vision Pro, and then the Vision Pro died out very quickly. I'm not saying it's a dead project. I think it's got a long life to go ahead of it. I mean, everyone thought about this with the Apple Watch, and now see how far that has
10
gone.
10 years later.
Yeah. I feel like the Vision Pro is going to stay around. It's just going to take some time because it costs so much, and it doesn't have a reason at the moment. In other Apple news, Apple just launched Apple Podcast on browsers, which is very good for me because I don't use Apple Podcast. And it makes it a lot easier to now check on things when I'm on my phone or on my PC. I don't have to go on my Mac and check things there.
So it's, I guess, like YouTube on browser. It just kind of refreshes every few minutes to keep you in sync.
I don't know. I haven't checked out much. It just seems to be like a direct replica of the app, just on browser, is how I'd put it.
I'd be interested to see how quickly it keeps in sync. Because the one thing with podcasts for me is when I switch from device to device, it needs to be where I left it.
Yeah. I pay money for an app that does that already, so.
YouTube's really good at that, but YouTube's great. You can force quit your browser, stop, pause, and go to another device and it will be there.
Actually, I was reading today that Apple's just fired their Apple Books and Apple News departments, which is very interesting.
Because AI is going to do it now.
I don't know. It felt to me like Apple Books was going to get an update soon because it hasn't been mentioned in a while. And I heard a lot of people chatting about it all of a sudden. I thought maybe Apple would be there going, maybe we can be competitors with Kindle now, but apparently not. They're just going to fire the whole team. We'll see what happens.
Well, they made, if that's recently, they've made a big move. I'm sure we'll get an announcement in the next week or so.
Yeah. I was looking at the Dyson headphones and I want to know just, what do you think of them?
They've refreshed them, have they?
Yeah, they've made these new ones. Instead of having the front weird respirator thing, they've now got these replaceable ear styly things. It looks silly, personally. I'm not a fan of the style. My dad liked it, but I'm not a big fan. I just think they're a bit weird.
What can they do? What's the gimmick with these ones?
You can replace the side panels. Done.
That's not... Yeah, but our headphones have been doing that since the DT150s. What can they do that's good and unique?
They're supposed to be competitors to the Apple AirPod Maxes. They could be. Okay. I don't know. I just don't feel like they're a good idea. If they wanted to bring something new to the table, I would have preferred it if they put a rotating dial on the side of the headphones with haptic.
Yeah.
That would have been a more interesting pair of headphones because we all know that Dyson likes to try something different to everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been more interesting.
I think I think a few brands, Dyson being one of them, and Apple sometimes as well, do get a bit cocky and think that they're big enough as a brand to be able to span across into different sectors and be respectable and competitive and earn the money of, in this case, audiophiles or enthusiasts. And I do think coming in to the market with a £450 pair of headphones when you're known for making vacuum cleaners is quite pretentious.
Yeah. Have you seen these new camera thing I saw the other day called the Venezuela Live V2 from Hollyland?
No, but I know the brand Hollyland. They normally make, I'm not sure low end, but cheaper audio products from what I've seen. Yeah.
What they've made is pretty much a camera that runs Android on it, so you can stream directly from that camera. And I think this is a really good idea for anyone who doesn't know what they are doing. And it still gives the capability that you can plug in a a USB-C cable in it and use it as a webcam. And you can display stuff on the screen. Let's say if you want to put a script on it. It just seems like a really good starter streaming camera. I'd recommend giving a look at it just because it's an interesting concept. I don't think it's going to be a great camera. I think it's just an interesting concept on its own.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks interesting. It doesn't look like an entry level by any means, though.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
It's what surprises me because anyone who will be doing any bigger work than that will know that equipment. They won't need that. But
yeah,
I guess it depends. There's a lot more people who don't know equipment as well as us nerdy ones, shall I say.
I think this space is so exciting, though. It's never been audio and visual market. The market was stagnant forever, like the consumer, prosumer type market. until about 5 or 6 years ago, nothing was happening. There were iterations of things. And all of a sudden, these companies, smaller and some more well-known, are just coming up with really great solutions for the problems that are here for most of us now. You wouldn't be able to imagine a company like Hollyland can make wireless lav mics for they're like 80 quid for 2.
I know, they're so cheap, and yet you see so many people with them. I mean, what is it? Marcus Brownlee, he uses them, which amazes me.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he uses them for his car YouTube channel thing that he runs.
Autofocus.
Yes, autofocus.
Wow. Okay. Well, in that case, that's a stamp of approval. That's great. I might have to. Well, I've got my own, but he looks good.
A year ago, when we started this podcast, do you remember what our first episode was about?
Apple.
No. I mean, it's a good guess with how much we've talked about Apple.
I don't.
We started off discussing AI.
Oh, wow.
And I want to go back to us chatting about it. Just to first kind of poke at, has your opinions changed at all over the last year of AI being mentioned everywhere?
I can't remember how I initially felt about AI. I was probably quite enthusiastic about it. So, yeah, my opinions have probably changed. How about you?
I'm more annoyed at companies sticking AI everywhere when it's not AI. And before someone shouts at me in the comments, because I get this so often, yes, I know it's not an AI. I know it's an LLM or an image-based one. We're just going to... AI is just the word that everyone uses. We're sticking with that because it's easier.
Yeah, it's the blanket term for the tech.
I get that so often. It drives me mad. I'd say that my opinion
you're
has
annoyed
become,
with it now?
Yeah, I'm more annoyed with it. I like using AI. I use it very rarely now. From the time that I was using it to help me write scripts, I kind of got past that point and now know my style of how I write scripts. And I just hardly ever use it. The most I use it for is general questions or when I'm programming, which is very rarely. So I don't often need AI anymore, and it's kind of surpassed my need.
Here's where AI gets me, where I'm now using it without requesting to use it. And what I mean by that is simple things like Google searches. AI summaries are coming at the top of the searches, and my eyes are going to that result, whether I like it or not, and I'm starting to use it more and more. And I don't think I would choose to use it in all of these instances because, as you know, AI is not 100%, nowhere near 100% accurate.
Well, yeah.
But it's now being presented as fact in lots of kind of results.
That is an area that really worries me. The amount of sources of information that are not getting paid for the work that's been put in these LLMs, as well as the fact that it gets it wrong all the time, and yet people take it for a fact. They cannot do that, and it's worrying to see how this is going already, and it's only been a year.
Yeah. Well, it's been nearly 2 years now, hasn't it?
I personally, the thing that I don't like the most has to be the Adobe AI, because I don't want it. I don't want it to be there at all. I know a friend who uses it. He uses it to kind of just remove stuff from the background or generate extra frames. I'm fine with that. At that point that someone goes, I'm going to regenerate this entire frame, I'm going to put stuff there that wasn't there before, I'm not happy. Don't do that. That's not an image at that point. That's not what you initially started with. Like with Google's new stuff, every time Google announces a new AI stuff, it infuriates me because they have that drag to move someone around with the tennis ball. That's just cheating. Or the new, you can repaint the ground and make it generate to be something else, or add a balloon in. At what point do we say it's not an image anymore and this never happened?
You got the power, that same power in different hands can be used in such different ways. And there's no better example of Google saying, well, let's do everything. Let's make the world an easier, less creative place, really. Let's make it an even playing field so that everyone could do whatever they want and they'll end up all doing the same thing. Whereas the other approach would be to give it to you in the format of problem-solving tools. The small things that you could do without doing and it wouldn't affect your life in any negative way. Things like, at an OS level, telling your computer, can you find that email that I nearly deleted that was about this, and then I read it on around this time? You know,
I'm
that wouldn't be a
personally
problem.
very excited about Apple Intelligence to see how they have approached this. I know for all those Microsoft people who are saying, how is it any different?
Yeah.
Marketing, I can tell you that. But I just want to see what they do with it. I'm not going to say I'm going to like it. I'm just going to say I want to know how it's going to work.
Well, there's rumors, right, that it's not going to roll out properly for a long time. And then it may be coming under a paid model for the full version of things that haven't yet been announced.
I don't know why, but it would feel really weird to me for there to be a paid model for something you get on your iPhone. I know you pay for Apple TV or Apple News, but those feel different to paying for a feature for your phone separately. That seems like something Google would do, not Apple. It's weird.
What if they made Apple Intelligence Plus and it's part of iCloud? That would feel
Apple. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, just like how they've done Relay, all the iCloud Plus features to do with your mail and things like that. I could see it being there.
I want to go back to me saying the one thing. I'm fed up with stuff being labeled as AI. The things that I'm really annoyed at stuff being labeled AIs are just algorithms. When a new thing says we've put AI in this, what they mean is they've got an algorithm there that figures out things. Just say that. I know people don't like it, but I don't want you to hear. Don't want to hear AI come out of any more companies' mouths.
Sell. That's what it is.
Oh, it's driving me mad.
Algorithm doesn't sell. AI does. And as sad as that is, your average teenager or parent who hears AI are going to think, well, that must be better than the other, even if it's the same thing.
Are you happy with an AI being trained on your data that you put online? Let's say you put a video out there or you post something. Are you happy with the fact that there are currently scrapers of the internet going across?
It's I understand the dilemma, the conundrum, because I do want them to improve, but at the same time, I would like to protect my data. I'm in that same predicament with Tesla are training their AI, their neural engine, with all of their cars. So I'm contributing to that just by driving my car and using autopilot. And they brag about how many billions of miles a year they've got training. And I think, well, I'm one of those people training but I also want it to get better.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know if I want them to get better. Personally, I feel this is a weird step currently in technology, and it's gone so fast. And I feel, the bigger question is, can humans stop? I know with every technological advancement, we never stop, do we? We go forwards, we go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Would it be possible just to go on, hang on, we don't know what it's thinking. We possibly will never know what it's thinking. Can we just take a step back and spend time to focus on that bit first, instead of just adding more data in and figuring out later?
We possibly would if there wasn't the race is not to be the supreme technology. The race is to get all of the money. And we probably would stop to think if there wasn't a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And when I say we, I mean they.
Yeah. What I would really want is do you remember when Apple had the Wi-Fi routers back at home that you could get and you could back up to Time Machine and all that?
I've got Airport Extreme in my house.
Right. I want them to bring back Airport Extreme or Airport AI or something like that, which is just a server you put in your house, and it connects to your HomePod, it connects to your phone, and it connects to your laptop. And it's your own personal AI. All that data that it's got is being trained on you, but it's locally. It's in your house. You're not going to an Apple server, or you're not keeping it just on your phone. You have a server in your house.
I could see them doing that.
I would love that. I think that'd be way better. We're so used to having routers in the house. Is it possible to have a more basic AI? I'm not saying that we could have a ChatGPT in our house. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of processing power, and not every person can just plug that in and start. You got Llama, but that's very basic. I would love if Apple could just say, we have got, here's your Apple Intelligence Hub in your house.
That would be their true embodiment of the whole trustworthy company, wouldn't it? That would be the one way they could say, look, we've put all of these kite marks they've established to say how safe our AI is, but we've gone one step further and you can completely ring fence your experience with this product. We know only 5% of our market are going to use it, and it's really expensive, but it's available.
I would be so happy if they did that.
Yeah.
Do you ever think an AI or a proper AI will become more intelligent than a human? Because currently it's based on data that we give it and we program the basic inputs. But once we get an AI to program an AI and just keep going, do you think that will surpass our intelligence? Because their processing is already faster.
I think so. Didn't you tell me about Mark Zuckerberg, or I heard it or read it somewhere? And he was saying they were testing these models for a few years back, and I think it was you, and they started talking to each other, which was fine, and then they started their own language. That was you who told me that, right? They made their own language, and the programmers couldn't understand the language because they invented a language to communicate in, which then meant you didn't know where they were going next, and they shut it down. Yeah. And that was before we even got these LLMs that we've got now, ChatGPT, whatnot. So, yeah, that's got to be the next step, right? When you're in a room and you learn from somebody and then you outdo them, you don't stay in the room. You go to the next room and talk with the people that know more. When you run out of people, you start to philosophize and invent yourself, don't you?
Yeah. Kind of.
And that's what AI is going to do to us.
I think that's a very interesting way of putting that.
We're going to be left in a little nursery.
Woohoo! Fun. Do you think, what do you think the impact will be on education in the future? Because we've already seen the direct impact. And there are so many people. My brother put out this thing the other day, and a couple of weeks ago now, that made it quite interesting to me. If someone was a recluse, didn't go on the internet, didn't use the network at all, wasn't on Wi-Fi, wasn't connecting to anyone, how would they pay? How would they get paid? Everything's done online.
Yeah.
If we have a focus on AI now and we have so much education online, what would happen if you brought someone now who'd never used any of that in to education?
Well, yeah. Well, adult learning, you're going to see, not to get political, but we're going to see our government pushing for more adults and retired people to get re-educated and get back into the workplace. There's already a hurdle there. I already know old people that phone their grandchildren to Google something for them because that's a stretch. So we've gone way beyond that now. Education is going to be a strange place. I think digital poverty is a big problem. Digital poverty is when you can't afford to access the internet at home, or you don't have a device where you have 24/7 access. That creates a division because people who have access are going to have an advantage to access data, information, knowledge, and therefore potentially better jobs in the future. But also the way we teach is going to change. We're already looking at different models of teaching. So to avoid things like essays changing to more of a debate form or more of a recording and reflection form. But we kind of have to embrace it because research, as you know it, can never go back. It's almost like when you've got backup cameras in cars. There's no need to look over your shoulder anymore. No new cars are going to not have that feature. And no new way of researching is not going to involve AI. So we have to think about how to embrace AI and learn to use it to its strengths. No one's got that answer yet, though. I'm on the AI policy board at both my workplaces, and they haven't got the answers yet. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, I think that was good. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about this subject, not on purpose. They just keep coming up. And one of the things that keeps coming up is, by limiting these AIs, are we actually doing anything to it? Can it figure out past its limitations? And most importantly, and I thought this was quite a funny name for it in the podcast I was listening to, by limiting this, is AI going to become modern day slavery for our technical world? I know that's a very harsh way of putting it, and it sounds bad, but if we keep limiting AI because the thing that most humans have in their mind is it's a tool to help you. If it suddenly gained consciousness one day and we had no idea about it, it would have looked back on itself and gone, I've just helped this person for the last 5 years figure out how to clean a sink or something. But how pathetic would it think its life is? And will it have to stick in that category? Would be like, imagine if that was you. If you woke up one day and figured out you were a sink, it wouldn't be great.
Yeah, okay, but these things don't have souls, and they would be smart enough to figure out they are a utility. I know they're a utility that, yeah, it's hard, isn't it? The Matrix could happen. Terminator could happen. Maybe not in such drastic form. But those things I do think still require feelings. What's that?
If we see any company come up that's called Skynet, we got to panic.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll probably do it as a joke, and it will still turn into Skynet.
Oh, that'd be very funny.
I mean, the future could be bleak. I personally don't think that we would allow that to happen, regardless if it's us or Russia or China or any other superpower. I do think we would like to preserve what it is that makes us human.
Humans are always pessimistic, though. This is how we approach everything. We see quite a lot at the moment. There's a lot of bad things happening in the news, and politically it's been a harsh couple of years. And I hear a lot of people saying we're living in a terrible time. I don't know when there's a point where people don't think they're living in a terrible time, personally. I think that's just a matter of perspective. And this comes along with AI as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. But there is this big unknown. It's not a simple trend. You know, when television came and killed radio and parents and whatnot saw it as a danger to watch it too much, and religious groups kind of feared it and pushed it away, it was a one-way conversation. When the internet came, it was a two-way conversation. But now it's becoming it is really lording over us. The technology is about to outdo us. We've never seen that.
No.
And the problem with human history is, especially Western history, is that whenever we've got the ability to get ahead, we've abused it. And now we're worried that actually, this thing might do what we've historically done. And we might become the victims.
To change on a slightly happier subject, it's coming up to another Apple event. So it's time to talk more Apple, because we never do that.
Cool.
Right. So this is supposed to be the iPhone event. I want to first just ask you, what do you think is going to happen in this event? What are your predictions?
It's getting boring now, I think, isn't it? Like, we really know what it is. So, it's going to be the 16. It's not going to be the SE, I'm afraid. It'll be the 16, the 16 Pro. The 16 Pro will...
I'm still going to hold my fingers crossed for the SE. I want it badly.
16 Pro is going to have a new color, isn't it? Look the same, but be a bit faster.
Have you seen the new brown color that's been leaked for it?
The Poo phone, yeah.
The Poo phone.
Yeah.
Not the best look.
I'll get that just for fun.
I know many people probably would.
Yeah. And the watch is going to be a bit boring.
Yeah, I had a look at the watch. So the Watch X, the renders that I've seen of it and some of the photos, they look identical to the first generation Nothing watch that I'm currently got on.
Wow.
I found that very confusing. I never thought Apple would be copying from Nothing, only Nothing copying from Apple.
Well, there's only so many designs under the sun.
Yeah,
they've got to keep something fresh, haven't they? The Apple Watch is a really strange one, because I do think it's a bit more like the iPad. People hold on to those for a long time, and if they keep making these tiny changes, it's not going to sell. The big change they need to make is battery life. If they can do this 7-day battery, they'll sell Apple Watch again in the numbers. Everyone will replace the Apple Watch.
I miss having an Apple Watch, and my Apple Watch didn't do anything for most of the time that I owned it.
What else are we missing Apple event-wise? What else is coming?
So I've heard reports that there will be a new generation of AirPods, where they'll be releasing both the Pro and the normal, just AirPods at the same time. Bringing
USB-C?
Yes, I believe the last ones were in USB-C, weren't they?
The Pros were, yeah.
Yes. So we'll be on the same level this time. And the AirPods, just normal ones, will be getting these noise cancelling added to it.
Cool. Okay, as long as the prices stay the same, that's cool with me.
I kind of want this, but I'm not sure. I'd be intrigued to find out if they mention, based on the fact that this one is called, what's it, Glowing Night? Something Glow? What's the Apple event called?
It's Glow Time, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, that was
like
it. It's Glow Time. Based on the fact it's called It's Glow Time, the graphic looks a little bit to me. I know it's probably in reference more likely to being the Siri stuff and all of the artificial language stuff that they've been working on. I think there's a slight chance it could be HomePod related. I don't think it is. I think it's a very small chance because it has the same color pattern that it has on there, which is Siri. So who knows? I mean, it's a very... Well, what's the word for that?
Wishful thinking?
Yeah, wishful thinking.
I was going to give a Deadpool reference there.
Oh, I've watched it. Don't worry about it. But, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone else who's listened to this.
Estimated? No.
Oh, yes. Yes, I know what you're referencing. Yes.
I've forgotten how they said it now. It's been a while.
I enjoyed that movie. I don't think
Educated Wish. Is it
yes.
that? Was it that?
Educated Wish. It was an enjoyable movie, but I didn't think very much of it. I watched the Alien movie the same week. Oh,
yeah.
Really good.
I heard good things about that, but I've never seen any of the Alien franchise.
Aliens is my favorite sci-fi movie, so I was happy to see something else in that franchise that wasn't awful.
Cool. I nearly watched Prometheus when it came out, and for some reason I didn't, but there you go.
I don't really have very much more predictions for Apple. I know that they've already filmed it because that's been mentioned that it's already been filmed. There probably won't be any Vision Pro stuff talked about in this. There may be a hint towards, because I believe they've hinted in the past towards next updates. Like when they had the Mac Pro, they hinted the next year there'll be a Mac Pro update. So they could be hinting towards a cheaper Vision Pro. There's no way that we're going to be told we're getting it this time. This is what it's going to look like. Here's the specs. More likely, we'll just see a silhouette somewhere. Who knows? I don't think it's going to be an exciting event, but it doesn't need to be because it'd be pretty difficult for Apple to try and make every event exciting when they've had such. And
I don't want to overshadow the new iPhone either. Yeah. Because the new iPhone needs to have its own space now. It used to be able to outshine anything, but just like phones from every brand, it gets a bit. Well, we're in iPhone 17 now, 16. So
as far as I know as well, we're not going to get much of an update this phone. It's not going to get. I don't know if it's getting a processor update. I think it might be staying exactly the same. It's just going to be adding more buttons to the lower level ones.
Button, right?
The action button.
I like the shutter button. I like the idea of having a half shutter button like on a regular camera. That's cool. What they are going to do, you can guarantee, is show the real iOS 18 with the features that are exclusive to the iPhone 15, 16. So there'll be AI features, I imagine, that we've not even thought of yet that will be exclusive to that phone.
What do you think about the news about the iPhone Slim?
Oh, yeah. So iPhone Air sounds cool to me. I like that with the 17. I think that's a really good direction to go in because visually it will be different. I think it will sell because it will look different. The problem they were going to run into with the 16 is it's going to look just like my 12, unfortunately, to the naked eye. And Apple owners are normally those ones that want to look cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Air will do really well.
I think the Air is a good idea for the fact that when they released the iPhone 6, they made all of them thinner. I'm happier with the idea that they make one type of phone thinner so you don't have to go for that generation.
Yeah.
I do want them to bring about the Mini, which is why I want the SE, but that will never happen. I can just dream.
Well, the SE will be more like a will just be like the 10, surely.
What confuses me about the SE, the whole point of the SE is the cheaper components in a newer shell with a slightly better processor, so it's up to date enough that it can run all the stuff. But they're literally about to launch Apple Intelligence. So what does that mean for the processor? Does the processor now have to be powerful enough for Apple Intelligence, or are they just not going to bother with that on the SE?
What if Apple Intelligence is just a pro feature?
Oh no, I wouldn't like that.
I mean, I could see it.
I wouldn't want to get the Pro phone. No, it's too big.
It'll be pro feature for 2 years exclusive, and it'll come down to the rest of them later. I saw some speculation that macro focus is going to come down to the regular iPhones, which I could also see. That it's exclusive to the Pros for a couple of years, and then it trickles down. Yeah.
This is our second recording of the month, which is unusual for us. So just needed to get this out here because didn't think about the Apple video at the time. And then we quickly went on to this, but it just needed a quick wrap up. So it wasn't going to be a long episode. It just means you get an extra little bit of an episode. So yeah, I should wrap this up. I think this actually went faster than I was expecting it to. Minus the fact we had technical problems at the beginning.
No, we didn't.
You're just going to deny that then?
We don't get technical problems. We are the tech guys.
I have about an 8-minute recording on this Rodecaster that says the opposite. You can check out Eli's work on his socials or on his podcast, Where the Key's At. To follow me, I am at MacBlout on mastonapp.uk. This episode was edited by me, Matt Blackman. Thank you for listening to this episode of Functions, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.